Hi guys, Tides here. Just here to make a video kind of talking about loadout swapping, a lot about how it works, where to use it, why it's efficient, and really kind of going also into like how NotSwap just ends up being kind of a thing where I personally disagree with NotSwap a lot. I kind of want to highlight why I think it's so limiting to the game and how I'm very glad like the game has moved past that kind of point and where we are kind of now. So, loadout swapping. So, as you've probably seen before, loadout swapping is a way of swapping your loadout to gain the most efficient damage. For instance, here, I tend to walk around with Speaker Sight Warlock, which provides heal nades, that provides healing turrets, and as you can see here, I have not as much super, I have a lot of nade, and I have a lot of weapon, right? Where I want to get a lot of kills. Loadout swapping is pretty much the action of, before any kind of boss, going in, going here, and swapping your loadout. It can mean more than that, and I'm going to show there's other cases of that. But for this instance here, you hit your loadout swap here, and boom, now I have 200 weapon and 112 super. As you'll see, that's going to be a little bit more super than what's actually shown, but I'll get into that kind of later. But the main idea is I swap my exotic from Speaker Sight, and now I have Sanguine. Sanguine pretty much making it so all in all, it's kind of a complicated description, but it makes it so all my weapons do 10% more damage if I'm standing in a Well of Radiance, which is super strong, right? Compared to Speaker Sight, which isn't bad during damage, or I get a heal turret, but I mean, 10% for more weapon damage for 30 plus seconds in a well, that's insane. That adds so much extra damage. And why not, right? It took two presses of a button. So, yeah. It's very common and high in rating, obviously, to use these things. As you can see in my loadouts in our day one like POV, like it's something we're always doing, right? I'm running here. I have Crest of Avalupi. I have a decent stat split. I'm going here and I swap my loadout. Boom! I now have 149. I have a Curious of the Falling Star, and now I'm able to pump out damage like it's nothing, right? And it's all about knowing when to loadout swap and kind of when you want to do it. But it just helps add so much extra damage, and it's just kind of a part of the game. If you choose to ignore it, it's fine, but you're just losing out on a lot of that mid-max potential, kind of that ceiling you can push yourself. So yeah, so loadout swapping, it's very good. It adds more damage, and as long as you're not dying during the loadout swap, it's very, very helpful. It only can help you if you do it right. Um, the idea though with loadout swapping is like this kind of a science, though, right? There's a lot to loadout swapping. For instance, the mods, right? The way you want to look at a loadout swap is it needs to be two things. You need high weapon and you need high super. The rest of the stats, and this is for the damage loadout, right? When you're swapping for damage, that's what you want to worry about. It's super and weapon. Everything else is kind of whatever. It kind of ends up not really mattering too much. So yeah, these two stats mainly. You can use armor picker, as I have a million tabs open. It's really, really good to make these kinds of loadouts, right? I'm kind of going to live make one with you guys as well to kind of show what I do in that process. So, what do we do for loadout swap? What do I swap to? Well, it depends on the class. For Warlocks, especially if there's a Well of Radiance, Sanguine is just a super, super easy, awesome swap. It's really good. It's really easy, really efficient. Like I said, 10% more damage. Speaker Sight's not a bad swap if you need healing during damage. It's pretty rare, but like the Wyvern in the newest raid, very, very good for it. I would recommend the Speaker Sight swap there. There's Lunafaction if there's a lot of range. I know the Hobgoblin in the raid actually is very good to have a Lunafaction boot there. So that's another exotic to swap to. Those are the main ones I do. There's some other ones like a Star Eater class item. It's very good if you're running like a Nova Bomb on Slide Warlock, on Prismatic Warlock. Having your Nova Bomb do more damage. This is a great, great swap too. Apotheosis a Star Eater. On Titan, it's pretty simple. It's pretty much just Curious. Curious of the Falling Star is just kind of your best friend. Just makes your Thunder Crash do so much damage. It's like not even close. There's some other ones like PKs has been really good recently. Again, another Star Eater kind of class item is really good if you're running prismatic like axes, for instance, like the Twilight Arsenal axes, but that's kind of whatever. And then on Hunter, it's gonna be pretty much Celestial Nighthawk and Celestial Nighthawk, Lucky Pants if you're doing some like super regen spam, it's really good for that. Or a Star Eater class item again. Even Star Eater Scales is really, really, really good too, where the exotic class item comes from. Very good swap as well. Okay, so in terms of making the loadout swap, it's very important two things. It's not just 5 of these major mods, right? 5 weapon mods, 5 super mod. It's very important that this build actually use minor mods, right? These minor mods are going to have to go on your boots and your helmet. And the reason for that is for boots is very simple. The weapon surges are super, super, super strong. It's always worth to have 3 weapon surges, and you always want to stack them as much as possible. So it means you're willing to sacrifice 5 weapon here, right? I'm using 5 weapon instead of 10 weapon to make sure I get 3 surges. Super, super worth it. And then there's also the helmet mod, which makes it so you can have 3 super fonts. Having 3 super fonts adds 50 super whenever you have armor charge, which you very much will have during damage, right? So really, really important. As you can see here, I have 112 super, but with these 3 mods on, I'm actually going to have 162 super. So super, super dope. So always a minor mod on your helmet and boots. And again, you can use Destiny 2 armor picker is the one I prefer. You can use Dim Loadout Manager as well. And what you can do, it's very simple. You go here. I want to use Sanguine. I click Sanguine. I need 3 major mods, right? Because remember, I have these 2 minor mods on my boots and the helmet. So I need 3 of those mods. And I want maxed out weapon. And I want the highest super I can go. So here it says 90. It can actually be more than that. It's calculating it kind of weird and stuff. But yeah, you can do this. Copy Dim Quarry. Go here. Paste it here. And then, okay, it shows you, here's the armor that you would use for your weapon loadout swap, right? So that is how you kind of make the loadout swap build. The rest of the mods don't matter too much. Like for this, since this is like my outbreak build, so I have reloaders. You can run dexterity mods here. These are really good for swaps. Resist on the chest piece always. Like I said, these are all set. And on your mark, I love this. 2 time dilations and a powerful attraction. It's my go-to. I think it's really great. I think what always you should run for loadout swapping. Okay. I guess that's a lot when it comes to loadout swap. Do I need more super? Do I need more weapon? It just depends. It really just depends. I can go to my Titan real quick and I kind of show it. But like for Titan and Hunter, they have way more damage super options. So they kind of want to make sure that they are hitting this 150 super pretty closely, right? Because supers, are, especially the current meta of the raid, is super spam. So having close to 150 super is really strong. I would recommend having more super than weapon, kind of filling in the weapon after. But let's say, you know, you're running a PK's build where you're running SMG as your damage to farm super. You probably want a little bit more weapon because weapons are going to do more damage, thus giving you more super. Something to keep in mind. Okay, so making loadouts. Like I said, I kind of showed you how to make the loadout. It's really important in Dim, like how you swap to your loadouts, right? As you saw in that sundered, as you saw in this clip, I very quickly, I'm coming here. We get the call, loadout swap. Right? We call loadout swap, and look how quick it is. I'm going, boom, 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 done, I'm ready, right? And a big thing is organizing your loadouts. The way I like to set up loadouts is very simple. I like my top ones to kind of be blueprints. And by blueprints, I mean, these are loadouts that are pretty filled, like, as you can see, they're pretty filled in with what I need. Like, oh, here's my Curious Arc Titan build, right? And what I can do, I can put this build on, I can put the weapons I want, and I can save the loadout here, right? And I like these bottom 2 to be, this is my active shooting loadout. This is the loadout I'm using when I'm running around. And my bottom right is this is my loadout that I'm swapping to for damage. So I always know when I'm running around encounter, I'm running around, oh shit, I need a loadout swap. Boom, boom, bottom right, click, done. I now have my best damage setup on, no question. So I like to do them on the bottom 2 typically. And then these are just kind of what I call, like I said, the blueprint ones. And as you can see here, you're like, oh, that's weird. How does he have this loadout without any weapons, right? There's kind of a cool thing you do where I like to buy collection weapons. You can buy these weapons, save your loadout with these like random legendary weapons on, right? And then delete and then delete those weapons, delete those legendary weapons, and now it makes it see here, item cannot be found. It makes it so when you swap these loadouts, it doesn't mess with your weapons ever. So super, super strong. I really would recommend actually doing it. It's very good for it. But yeah. I do want to show an example of like loadout swapping that isn't just damage because I think it's really important to know when to. So infamously, we won Vesper's house, and a big thing that we did was optimize, right? We knew we needed ammo. My teammates here are calling, we need ammo, and we make the call here. It's like, well, instead of me running around with the Cenotaph helmet on Warlock, right? If you don't know, Cenotaph on Warlock makes it so you can get ammo off just marking any target, right? Damaging a boss champion with a trace marks the target. When they get defeated, you get heavy ammo for your allies. So they make the call to make it, right? So instead of like freaking out, wiping, doing whatever, not even being able to make the loadout, we...
Senos, like it's so free, right? Okay, like there's nothing but these guys.
Right, it's like, okay, Prime makes a call. Hey guys, like these guys can literally be Seno. We can mark these guys right now, why don't you? So I go in.
Seno each fucking
I make a trace.
person.
And you can pull
I put on Senna.
them in one by one,
Yes,
right?
yes.
I go, I make the loadout.
See,
I'm
that's
looking, I'm like debating. I'm like, okay, I don't need this loadout. I make this loadout. 1 second. And then boom. Mark the target. We kill them. They get heavy ammo. Boom, done, dusted. It's like no problem, right? And now there's heavy ammo. And now my teammates have no problem. Because right here, I don't need speaker sight, right? I don't need to heal turret my teammates here. There's only a couple of these clones.
I'm not gonna get heavy either, right? But that's W.
And it's super easy. He's marks, we kill, and now boom. More ammo, more ammo, more ammo, more ammo. And now they have more ammo. I get some special ammo too. So stuff like that. Just like that's like in the moment min-max, right? That's really important to do. It kind of shows like why it's really important to be able to be flexible with your loadouts, be able to be conscious of the choices you have, and like what loadouts you're even able to do. Okay. So that's pretty much what I do for loadout swapping. That's why I think it's really important. I kind of highlight a lot of the examples there. Seno and Aeons for heavy ammo is really, really good too. Just swap to them finisher and add to get heavy. I know Desert Perpetual doesn't have a lot of Aeon adds you can do because it can't be finishered, but I would swap to Seno, mark, then unmark, and then swap back to speaker sight. Stuff like that is really, really strong and really, really helpful. Okay, so that's pretty much it when it comes to loadouts. I kind of want to talk now about like why I think loadouts are really important and why NotSwap, which is a term that Bungie had coined when Rise of the 9 came out, why limiting loadout flexibility and choice is really, really bad, right? I think a very infamous thing that happened in the day 1 race was that a lot of teams were swapping to Thunderlord, or sorry, Thunderlord, Lord of Wolves when they're out of ammo, right? But something I felt was really cool was that instead of just sitting here shooting the same heavy weapon with the same loadout, with the same, right? You're able, like, look, I just made a 3rd loadout that now has solar weapon surges and solar reloaders with Lord of Wolves, right? I think having stuff like this is really important and really, really helpful to make it so that you're able to express yourself fully. If there is no loadout swapping, if there's nothing, if my loadout is locked at the entrance of the encounter, this option, this loadout buildcraft, this thought and idea that came to my mind is completely null. I can't do it. Same here when I was able to swap to Seno here to make heavy ammo, right? If there's no NotSwap, I have to walk around with Seno the entire time with a trace rifle, right? By allowing loadout swapping, by allowing this player choice and options, you're allowing yourself to be like built up like blocks, right? I kind of wrote it here. So this is our ceiling, right? Right here. This is a not swap, but we can't swap. This is my ceiling, right? I can't go higher than this. If I have speaker sight, I have speaker sight. But with loadout swapping, what can I do now? Oh, okay. I'm allowed to swap to, let's say for Lord of Wolves for damage, right? Let's say I couldn't loadout swap. I would have to run Thunderlord and I'd have to run like a sniper or fusion. That's it. But now that I'm allowed to loadout swap, I'm now able to, when I'm out of Thunderlord ammo, or let's say I really need burst, I'm allowed to add Lord of Wolves. I'm allowed to add solar surges. I'm allowed to add solar reloader. Let's say I'm on Hunter. I can add knucklehead radar, right? You can, and by this, I'm increasing the ceiling constantly, right? My player choice, my options, my knowledge of the game through buildcraft and learning the game sandbox, I'm able to make myself this much stronger, this much more damage, this many more options, right? But if I have no loadout swapping, I lose all of that and I'm back at ground zero. Everyone can be at this level, right? You put on speaker sight. Yes, there's a way to use it. It's not about the, it's not about the speaker sight turret. It's how you use it. But still, there's a cap, right? There's only so much to do with speaker sight. Let's say with Cenotaph, right? I'm capped here. I have speaker sight. But then in this clip, I'm trying to show investors, right? I'm like, oh shit, I can get more damage here. We can get some ammo. So what do? I go hide, right? I get on Seno. I get on a trace. I give my teammates ammo. I now swap back to speaker sight, right? I now am swapping back to this state, but now guess what? I have even more special ammo because of Seno, right? I'm able to keep building up myself more to make myself a more and more efficient player. It's the same thing here. You're going to see in this VOD. Like, I do the same thing. We go in this tunnel, right? We're doing our damage, blah, 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 blah. We go into this tube, right? Investors, you go in this tube for damage where you get this core and you walk in. And guess what I'm doing? Am I sitting here twiddling my thumbs waiting for the raid to let me kind of go on? Hell no, right? I go to my loadout. I'm like, you know what? I have downtime. I don't need speaker sight here anymore, right? Because we just went through most of the phase of damage. I go in, I look, and I'm like, okay, now I'm going to put in my Sanguine Alchemine. And look, one kinetic surge there as well to make sure that my sniper has that much more damage. I think I would have liked to have some dexterity mods here and some other things. Keep in mind this is before Edge of Fate, so some mods might be very different. But still, I make this swap because now I know what. Like Sanguine, right? 10% more damage. But what's the reason I'm not running Sanguine before? Because I'm not welling before, right? I'm not welling when I'm doing all this damage up here, right? I'm just running around with speaker side to heal my teammates. But now that we're inside, I put on the speakers. I put on my Sanguine. I swap to it. I go here.
Just look for us, please.
Yes, I will.
I go. I place well. Boom. And now I am now doing 10% more damage to this boss that just wouldn't be there before. And anyone that did this contest dungeon or anyone that's talked about Vesper should tell you that this was a very difficult boss to kill through damage, right? It was very similar to Desert Perpetual in that sense. And we come here and boom, look at that. Now I'm doing 10% more damage every single shot, no questions asked, right? Imagine if I had, imagine there's no loadout swap in here. I just had speaker sight here and I'm just putting it well. Nothing changed. I didn't have to think. I didn't have to min-max. I didn't have to, you know what I mean? I'm so limited. The not swap idea limits your creativity and it limits your knowledge of the sandbox to just running whatever's best, right? The idea of like having a loadout that fits every niche, it doesn't fucking happen. I'm telling you, it doesn't happen. What ends up happening is if Speaker Sight and Thunderlord are the best options in the raid, well, guess what? You're not going to unequip Speaker Sight and Thunderlord 99% of the time, right? But with loadout swapping, I can swap to Lord of Wolves. I can swap to Cenotaph, so mark targets. Even though there's a meta, even though there's something in play, any option here, any of these exotics I can look at and think about using, right? Any of my special weapons I can look at and think about swapping to without being the risk of like completely being removed, pulled away, and losing everything, right? I think Sanguine here, I'm not gonna say it was the reason why we won, but it definitely helped, right? It definitely helped us to get to that damage threshold. And I know not everyone was doing that. Right? Even here, like, oh my god, I forgot about the other layer, right? So I'll go back to my analogy once again, right? So I have speaker sight, but what do? I equip Sanguine, okay? I now am putting my well down, okay? More Bellcraft. What am I doing? I'm running 2 arc surges and 1 cyber surge because I'm sniping because I'm now low on heavy ammo, okay? And guess what I'm doing when I'm out of ammo? Am I sitting here shooting my little scout rifle with shoot salute at the boss? No, right? I switch to Outbreak. I now am shooting Outbreak to min-max that damage even more, right? I'm making sure I can get even more uptime. Obviously here I'm not shooting too much Outbreak because I'm trying to survive, but now I'm shooting Outbreak, killing some clones to make sure they don't snipe us, right? All that. So now another layer added, right? And there's the Outbreak layer. All of this because I'm allowed to loadout swap, right? All of that to min-max my damage. Do I need to do all that? Probably not, right? But the fact that I'm able to, the fact that I'm allowed to do that makes you a better player and makes you push your ceiling as a player even more. It literally, like, it was so crazy to me how much NotSwap was being promoted by people online in the community. And I'm just like, I just don't get why you want to limit your choices. It literally just makes the game more linear and stale, right? So just kind of highlighting why swapping is so good, why loadout swapping is so important. And I'm hopefully showing here through like proof that it is very, very good and important to utilize it because you're just going to make that min-max that damage a little bit more. There you saw me min-max Cenotaph to get my teammates ammo a little bit more. To kind of push up your ceiling, make you a better player, and even be a better teammate to your team, right? Being able to be this flexible, knowing the sandbox that well, knowing when to make these swaps happen kind of thing. So, yeah. I appreciate everyone watching. Thank you. If you have any questions about loadout swapping, please comment about them. I gladly want to answer anything when it comes to Buildcraft. If you don't understand or have me like, oh, is it more worth it to run this? Like, I like being kind of challenged in that too and kind of thinking about, oh yeah, that could be something that's really good to run as well. But yeah, thank you for everyone for watching. I hope this really helps you understand why loadout swapping is important and hopefully enabling it more in your gameplay as well and kind of making it part of your like end game kind of playmaking. Keep in mind, you don't need a loadout swap everywhere, right? I'm not saying that, but those really hard moments, doing a mythic campaign mission, maybe that's not the best example. Maybe doing like these harder raids, especially day ones, you should really show, wow, how much more you can do by being able to swap. Or let's say you're on a boss that's really struggling, knowing to swap to Curious to add that extra damage could also help as well. But yeah, thank you. Have a great day, everyone. And please, I'm going to make a couple more other videos about other things, so please stay tuned for that and sub for those things as well. But yeah, have a great day, everyone.